Well, clinical psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson is one of the world's most famous and fascinating intellectuals. His books are instant bestsellers. Tens of millions watch him online. In fact, his last interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored has so far been viewed more than 17 million times. And I'm delighted to say that he joins me again now. Jordan, great to have you back on the programme.
Well, thanks, Piers. It's good to see you again.
I was absolutely astonished, really. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but by the reaction.
Are you serious?
To our last interview, worldwide. The sheer volume of people that watched the whole interview, the way the clips were disseminated on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter. It was a really interesting insight, actually.
That doesn't make sense.
Into a whole world that doesn't even involve, actually, conventional television anymore. I guess you wouldn't be surprised because this happens to you a lot, but I was. What does it say about society?
Wait for it.
That number of people
I'm
watch an interview on a computer or phone.
Well, I'm still continually surprised about it. But, well, I think what it shows is that there's really no way that legacy TV, in some real sense, can compete with the absolutely wide open frontier of online video distribution where the cost is low and people can access it everywhere. It's fundamentally the consequence of a technological revolution, and there's all sorts of good things about that.
Are you serious?
And one of those would be the ability to widely disperse complex and sophisticated information, which YouTube has been particularly good at in the long form, but it's also problematic in that it produces all sorts of alterations in social behavior that we're only, and some of them very dangerous, many of which we're only just beginning to understand.
Right. Elon Musk has just bought Twitter, and it's creating a huge furore, obviously, in many different ways.
Stop it.
And he's admitted, I'm going to do lots of things in the next few months, and we're going to get some wrong, and we're going to pull them and try something else. He's going to try and work out a way of making it a sustainable business model. But also, he wants to bring back what he perceives to be genuine free speech on the platform. Is it possible, Jordan, do you think, that he can do that? Or are we now so entrenched in tribalism, particularly on social media, that it's almost impossible to do what he wants to do?
Well, you couldn't have picked a better day to talk about this with me because I just got a paper sent to me today by Jonathan Haidt. He didn't write the paper. It will be published. It's published in a journal called Personality and Individual Differences.
Nice.
And it's an examination of the personality traits associated with let's say, excessive and self-promoting internet usage. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read you a couple of the descriptions of what the people found.
Are you serious?
Because it's so absolutely spot on and relevant. I don't think we are descending into tribalism. I think what's happening is that the virtualization of the world is enabling people who behave in a particular antisocial way, in a self-grandizing and self-promoting antisocial way. And I'll just read you the descriptions that are taken directly from this paper. So it was an actual study of online behavior. Women characterized by high self-centered antagonism, neurotic narcissism, Machiavellian views, Machiavellian tactics, so that's manipulativeness, meanness.
Stop it.
Disinhibition, physical sadism, and indirect sadism used Instagram for a longer time and more frequently than did men. In women, verbal sadism and emotionality was associated with longer, while honesty, humility, and conscientiousness was with a shorter Facebook usage time. Furthermore, women high in agentic extroversion, so that's manipulative self-promotion, and indirect sadism used Facebook for a longer time.
Are you serious?
And more frequently than men. And so I've thought for a while that one of the things that's happening to us as we virtualize the world is that we're enabling the small percentage of people, it's usually about 3% in general populations, who use manipulation and reputation savaging and denigration and self-promotion, so the genuinely psychopathic types, to dominate the social conversation and to spew their poisonous and manipulative venom into the public domain not only with no fear of being stopped and no inhibition, which is almost all applied socially, but also while being monetized and promoted by the people who run the social media channels.
Are you serious?
And every society forever has had to contend with a small percentage of people who will utilize all the benefits of society only for themselves. They had to contend with the fact that those people, if not brought under control, can demolish the structure of the entire society. And I think the polarization that we're feeling is a consequence of their untrammeled expression online, Instagram, Facebook, and in online comment forums like Twitter.
I don't want to hear about this. I want to stop the conversation.
What do you want him to say and do?
I want him to open up the conversation.
And say what?
Which is what he is doing.
Say what?
So he needs to open that conversation not only in this country.
So you keep saying, and say
only
what?
in this country, but also in the countries that have been impacted by colonialism.
Sorry,
in their
I am
history.
asking.
And
I'm sounding a bit
now.
robotic. Let's just start again.
Because
what would you like him to say and do?
You better answer the fucking question.
I would like.
What's this conversation you
I
want?
would like him actually, first of all, to listen.
To what?
Listen to what is being said.
What don't you think he knows about the history of his country?
I don't know.
Is that not what he did?
So you want a conversation, but you've no idea what it's going to be about?
I don't know what he knows. Isn't that the point?
But the whole point is he can't say what you really want him to say, which is sorry.
Are you serious?
Because he's a head of state and he's a representative, and unless the government gifts him that power to say sorry, he actually can't say it.
Hence, we
because
have
we're a
profound
constitutional
regret.
monarchy.
Yes.
But it's all just measly, pointless words.
No.
To who?
You
To
make your money with measly, pointless words.
How is it going to... Sorry, explain to me. How is
you?
this going to change the lives of a single person today? The king of his country saying that hundreds of years ago, something we knew existed, an evil called slavery, was...
Nice.
terrible. And by the way, not just here, all around the world. And there were black slave owners too, right? I don't see anyone demanding apologies from their ancestors, right? And everyone knows it's evil. Everyone knows it was terrible. Everyone knows the British Empire was
Stop it.
Europeans
also great in many ways
suffered
too.
during the slave
Here's
industry.
my point.
We know
How
that
does
as
it
well.
help anybody today? To have people grovelling and apologising and saying, here's some money.
Who's asking
What's he
for it?
going to do
Who's
with the
asking
people
for-
today?
Are you serious?
I don't think there are any dignitaries asking for grovelling apologies. I don't think there are any people who are still...
You don't seem to know what you want.
Who are still impacted today by the effects of colonialism, asking for grovelling...
What do you want Charles to do?
You better answer the fucking question.
Grovelling apologies.
I keep asking you, haven't got an
and
answer.
you talk about history of 100 years, but you know that reparations
Paula, you want King Charles to do and say something, but
I'm
you've
gonna
no
wait.
idea what it is.
I want him to have a cup of tea with Prince Harry.
You want a
Are you serious?
conversation with him?
What do you want?
What do you want? A cup of tea, a sandwich? What do you want?
A cup of tea with Prince Harry.
You
That's what I
literally can't
wanted.
answer me.
You can have a truth and reconciliation. You could have a truth and
Fine, I'm
reconciliation.
going to ask you one more time. I'll give you one more
do you
chance.
know what a truth and reconciliation
I
is?
do.
Piers?
What do you want?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Then let's hold a truth and reconciliation.
What do you want him to say?
Let's hold a truth and reconciliation. Let's start the process of listening. And from that listening process, then we will hear what he has to say.
Yeah, boy.
Could maybe apply to his own family as well.
He could put some money out. He could sell a couple of
You've
papers.
literally,
couldn't
Paula,
it?
with great respect, you've literally just spent 10 minutes saying absolutely nothing.
I mean, I haven't. It's because
And then you suddenly remember truth and reconciliation. Thought, that gets me off the rack. I haven't got to say what I actually want or him to do.
2015, we finished paying slave owners. We
Right.
finished compensating slave owners in 2015. Not hundreds of years ago. I'm uncomfortable about that. Let's have this truth and reconciliation. Let's talk about
Okay,
reparations.
so go to
Let's
Kinsey
talk
for the
about
final word, because
colonialism.
America's ahead of us on this, of course. So places like San Francisco, they want to give millions and millions of dollars to everybody who ever had an ancestor who was involved in slavery, which seems to me completely ridiculous. What's your view?
I was just sitting here thinking, why?
Wait for it.
Why is the advice? Let's just look forward. Let's move forward when it's Harry and Meghan, and we're talking about their past discretions. But when it's something like this,
Bingo.
I understand.
Bingo.
I understand
Yes.
what Piers is saying. But
all
like,
look
let's
forward
just
for
focus
Meghan
on-
and Harry, leave all the nasty stuff behind us, but with the rest of them, back we go, as long as it takes to have a stick to beat them
But
with.
it's not comparing like with like, because one are an institution of state and they represent Britain and our history for better or for worse, and the other are a pair who tripped off into the sunset with a couple of tiaras and some titles.
Why?
Not like for
I
like.
have always.
Why would King
always
Charles saying, I'm
advocated-
really sorry and here's some money, make any difference to people today? They had nothing to do with the slavery years because they're not 300 years old.
I've always advocated for reconciliation.
Are you serious?
For Harry, for King Charles, and for William. Always advocated that in the same way
Anyway.
that I advocate the reconciliation.
You want to
of
have a
the
conversation, but you
Commonwealth.
have no idea what it's going to be about. Other than it's going to make you
Let's
feel...
open the floor.
It's apparently
Let's
going to make
open the floor.
It's going to... And I want a reconciliation conversation with the Vikings and with the Romans, right? I want Nordic
Did you
leaders
finish paying
grovelling and apologising.
compensation?
I want
Did you finish
Italian
paying
prime ministers
compensation to them in
recompensing
2015
me
here?
for
Here it comes.
the land my ancestors
Piers.
lost in the north of England
Did you
from the
finish-
rampaging
did-
Romans.
Did you finish paying compensation to them in 2015?
Did
for
I?
loss? Yes.
What have I got to do with it?
I did. I was a
Paula, I know you think
taxpayer.
otherwise.
Nice.
Had
You
nothing
were
to
a
do with
taxpayer.
slavery.
We were all taxpayers and we paid.
I had nothing to do with slavery, Paula.
But yet you paid compensation to the
And by the
slave
way,
owners.
nor did you.
But I paid compensation to the slave owners.
Okay, I'm going to end this with
I
one.
didn't have a choice in
I want
that
to end on a happy note. I've worked out why Charles is so red. Can we look at the picture again? He's an Arsenal fan, right? And obviously, if we win on Sunday and Manchester City lose, we become Premier League champions, first time in 20 years. It is a nod to Arsenal Football Club. God bless you, Your Majesty. Thank you. I've got to leave it there.
And
Thank
we
you,
do wish
Kinsey,
him well. We
in LA.
definitely
Thank
wish
you,
him
Sarah.
well.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Tessa.